Which is better, raw damage or element damage? This is a common debate in Monster Hunter whenever a substantial content update drops, for good reason. With constant updates comes a consistently shifting meta, and that adds an additional layer of fun for hunters on their quest to efficiently dispatch monsters at record speed. Even if you don't care to be the fastest, most optimal hunter ever, knowing the most efficient damage type to bring to a fight could make your life a lot easier. For the in-game of both Wilds and Title Update 1, the meta skewed heavily towards raw damage, more precisely raw plus paralysis, due to the best raw weapons that you could make being an artisan weapon where you could easily slap on a status element like sleep, paralysis, or poison onto that high raw attack weapon that you're making, without any real downsides. Additionally, and most notably, the hit zone, that being how much damage a monster takes when you hit them at a certain body part. For example, they might take more damage in the head, but less damage on their body. For both Base Wilds and Title Update 1, in-game monsters tend to have fairly good resistances to elements even if they are supposed to be really weak to that element. For example, the gore magala, most notable for being weak to fire, will at most take up to 20% of your fire element's damage. For other monsters, their weak points will take somewhere around like 35 to 60% elements damage when you hit them at that weak point. Because of those two major factors, the damage gained from bringing an element weapon was pretty negligible compared to getting 2 or 3 extra paralysis windows to dump uninterrupted damage onto a monster. This is especially true in multiplayer where a paralysis can lead to a knockout, into another paralysis, into a knockdown, into a stagger, and so on and so forth. Another perk of the paralysis meta is the universality of it all. Unlike Element, you'll have to build one set and it will be equally effective into any monster, as long as they're affected by paralysis. For starting out in endgame, that's pretty amazing. For endgame build diversity and gameplay variance though, not so much. Title Update 2 included many tweaks and additions that really amped up Element's builds. With the right setup and encounters, we'll be seeing a staggering uptick in our ability to do damage, more so than these paralysis build. But is that enough to push us beyond the paralysis meta? Before I give you my analysis and opinion, question for you all. How do you feel about Element's builds? Are they worth the effort when compared to the ease of paralysis builds? Let us know in the comments below. To be clear, meta is not everything. If you have a specific way you enjoy playing, even if it's not the best way to play, if you're having a great time, power to you. The best way to play any game is the way that you enjoy. With that said, if you want to see more videos like these, support your boy by hitting that like button and subscribe for more Monster Hunter Wilds content. Thanks. Before we can answer if Element's builds are worthwhile to use in Title Update 2, let's break down what we've got and what we won't get as part of Title Update 2's patch cycle. Alongside 2 really fun monsters we get to fight, we get a truly powerful thunder weapon set from the magala weapons, whose thunder damage can be boosted to absurd degrees due to its unique weapon skills. With the right setup like my Title Update 2 dual blade build, link in the description and the top right of the screen, this weapon no diffs anything in its weight class. Thunder weak monsters simply get shredded like paper. On top of that, several weapons, most notably the switch axe, got a straight up mega boost to how much damage they can dish out with the element's attack value. A good example of this is the switch axe's sword mode damage amp. When you are using element files, the bonus damage procs that you get for attacking in sword mode got boosted from 35% element's modifier, meaning taking only 35% of your elements as damage, to a now staggering 80% element's modifier. And that's just one of many buffs to the switch axe. Other weapon types are also getting buffs to the element's damage or their playstyle to differentiate between raw damage playstyles and elements playstyles. Based on a guild report from the devs, it seems that they're not done buffing weapons. Additional weapon buffs for the dual blades, hunting horn, lances, light bowgun, and heavy bowgun are coming in August. While the nature of the buff themselves are a mystery, I would assume that they're also getting similar buffs to elements damage and diversification of playstyles like the switch axe and the charge blade to better differentiate how the weapon plays when dealing primarily raw damage versus elements damage. At least, I hope so. One of the most enjoyable parts of Monster Hunter is the prep for the hunt. Figuring out loadouts of damage, skills, items, and weapon types that gives me the greatest advantage against a challenging monster. I can see that being taxing or draining for some people who may want just that one catch-all build that can just rock for any hunt. I get that. I love me some generalist builds too. A mark of a good game is a game that rewards you for engaging with its systems. If you're having a great time not really diving too deep into it, great. But if somebody chooses to go a bit deeper and they are rewarded for their time, effort, and knowledge, that's even better. The fun thing to note is that when a monster's weakness to elements are pronounced, Monster Hunter gains a nice progression loop of making gear to fight a monster to make gear to fight that other monster that you really wanted to fight. So for example, if a monster is weak to fire, but I don't have a fire weapon, I'm gonna go kill the monster that makes me the fire weapon so I can make that fire weapon, and then I can go fight the monster I really wanted to fight with that fire weapon, which gets me the armor to go fight my next monster, and so on and so forth. Without elemental weaknesses, that build diversity is not as pronounced. As of Title Update 2, that certainly is a beginning of a shift towards elements meta. Right now, Thunder Element outclasses RAW plus Paralysis for Thunder weak monsters, that's for sure. But if you're fighting an aggressive, tempered monster, or a monster you're not used to, Paralysis might even net you more DPS because it gives you windows of opportunities to fight without being in danger. And while it might not be the most strongest thing out there, Paralysis builds might still be the best for your playstyle and for learning an encounter, especially in multiplayer. Not only are you preventing your hunting party from carding and failing the quest, but that Paralysis activation gains multiplicative value. You're giving them a nice comfortable window to unload their damage, especially if they are bringing element attack weapons. But if you and your hunting party are comfortable with the encounter already, everyone bringing their best element weapon for the encounter will net you faster staggers and faster clear times, which also helps to mitigate that failure state. But this is specifically for monsters that are weak to thunder right now. The Legaranchus weapons are a great hint at what is to come for element weapons. But until the day comes to where we have a bunch of really good weapons for each of the elements types and challenging tempered monsters that have a decent enough weakness to said elements, RAW plus Paralysis builds are still the way to go for most if not all encounters due to how comfortable it is to use and how applicable it is to all monsters in Title Update 2. Even for thunder weak enemies, for example like the Ceregios, I still debate about bringing Paralysis weapons depending on the strength of the tempered monster. So if it's a 3 or 4 star, I'm pretty happy bringing thunder element weapons, but if it's a 5-star tempered monster, that Paralysis weapon is looking pretty nice. Because of how often that chicken moves around, hitting just one Paralysis window can have a major positive impact on how the fight goes. It's also a nice way to give people time to look at the health bar and go, hey, I'm bleeding, maybe I should deal with that. And with that one thought, the whole run is saved. In summary, no, not yet. Elements has not fully dethroned the Paralysis meta. For most people, Paralysis will be the way to go. But as we continue to get more updates and more patches and more buffs and more encounters and harder monsters to fight with hit zones with elements modifiers that actually make sense, maybe then elemental damage will then take the throne. But that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. For more fun Monster Hunter Wilds content, check out this video on screen right now. My name is Varsana, and I'll see you in the next video.